The Vegas Forward podcast delves into the lives of the people in our community, uncovering not only what they do, but who they are. Business may keep our city strong, but it's the individuals that continue to create, innovate, and push Vegas forward. All right, today we've got Brendan King from the Brendan King Group on Vegas Forward. Super excited to have you here, Brendan. Just to give you a little background about the podcast and kind of what our direction is and the goal of the podcast is to meet with people like yourself that are innovating in Vegas, creating, building, doing things that are positive for the community and really helping the city grow, right? Maybe tell me a little bit about yourself, what you're doing currently at the Brendan King Group, and yeah.
For sure. Hey, thanks for having me, Nick. I'm happy to be here with another Jersey guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So Brendan King Group, it's actually at Simply Vegas. I just have to mention my brokerage is actually Simply Vegas, but we're the Brendan King Group. So we've what was the question again?
The Brendan King. Tell me a little bit about the Brendan King Group.
Of course,
what you do. And,
no, I'm totally kidding. So we're a real estate team here in Las Vegas. There's 6 of us. Okay. We do about $30-40 million a year, about 100 transactions. So we have the opportunity to help about 100 families a year to buy and sell properties, which honestly, it's a pretty amazing place to do it. And especially right now, honestly, if you're even looking to sell, it's
the time to do it.
It's insane.
Yeah. And so you made the top 1% I saw in the U.S.?
Yeah. So 1%, well, a fraction of 1% even. We were top 50 in Vegas out of 15,000 agents. And then we were a top 1% team in the country.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about, one of the things I like to do in these podcasts is kind of dig into who the person is that made you what you're doing and your successes now. Tell me about your upbringing. I know you mentioned you're from New Jersey, a fellow Jerseyan. Tell me about your upbringing, where you went to school. Give me a little bit of background about Brendan growing up.
Yeah. So I'm from New Jersey. For some reason, you'll, I'm sure, agree. Everybody from Jersey has to mention that they're from Jersey.
Of course. Yeah.
So we always say Jersey, and people are like, Jersey? So sorry, New Jersey.
Yeah.
But I grew up in northern New Jersey. My mom owned a dance studio. My dad was in sales. So a town called Wanacue, New Jersey, literally on the border of New York State and New Jersey, about 30 miles west of New York City.
Oh, cool.
My brother, I have 2 brothers, 1 sister. We grew up around, my mom owned a couple dance studios. So
interesting.
We all, as kids, actually danced since we were 2-3 years old. And my brothers and I all did sports as well. Oh, cool. So we thought every boy danced, literally, when we were little. And then we realized we were the only 3 boys that danced in the entire town.
Well, it probably helps you out later in life, right?
So it was, which is funny, because for us, it helped us in sports. We were good at sports. So it actually was a nice atmosphere, because a lot of our friends didn't look at it the way a lot of people did in other states and other parts of the country. Sure. So we would go to dance competitions, and all our friends would be like, "Hey, can we go too?" We grew up. So like I said, at in Wanacue, New Jersey. So around the dance studio, playing sports, and being right outside New York City. You're going into New York City for the holidays, and the nice difference between the big city, and we were out kind of in the country, I guess you could say. Yeah,
New Jersey gets a bad rap for being, people think of Newark Airport when they think of New Jersey.
The Turnpike. They always think of the smokestacks and oil and what exit, but it's actually really pretty. It's like Norman Rockwell towns, honestly.
It really is. I grew up outside of Princeton near the university. So it was,
by Lawrenceville.
Yep, exactly. So really, really nice community, and mostly farmland and stuff.
It's beautiful down there. Aren't cranberry bogs or something like that down there?
Yeah, And there's a lot of farms, corn, and people think of New Jersey and they think, like you're saying, the smokestacks and all that kind of stuff. And it's really completely a different lifestyle. It's suburbia.
It is. But the funny thing is, our sports conferences, it was the best of all worlds. We'd be in New York playing a team with manholes on the field. Mm-hmm. And then the next day we'd be at Del Barton High School, which was like a castle. Sure. And all the kids had their name on the back of their shirt. And they had, every sport had its own van. Like the soccer van would pull up. And you'd be like, they have their own van? And we had hand-me-down jerseys at our school. You'd just smell them to see which one smelled the least. And that's the one you'd take.
That's how you knew which name it was, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So you went to Rutgers.
Yeah.
Which I went to Rutgers as well. What was your experience like there? And how long were you there? And what'd you study?
Yeah, so it was between a couple schools. I ended up landing at Rutgers because I got a track scholarship there. So I ran D1 track in the Big East,
Awesome.
and I was a science major. So yeah, it was about an hour and a half from home. So I figured it would be a great. It's a great school, first of all, but equally, it's close to New York City. Like I said, I grew up also performing. So then if I wanted to go into New York City, I could go and go to an audition or...
And you could always go home, right, when you ran out of money?
100%, or show up with your laundry
Exactly.
and your mom's like, oh, you again with your laundry.
That was one of the nice things about living there, right? Is like I was like a 30, 40-minute drive to go home. So the weekends I pop in and
100%.
It makes it nice. But also it's kind of nice to leave too, right?
And you can only have so many sandwiches and pizza in a week before.
Exactly.
But speaking of sandwiches, I'm sure you've had the fat sandwiches.
Oh yeah.
That was it, Fat Cat, Fat Sal, and some other ones we can't mention.
Yeah, there was a name for everything. And they had like cheeseburgers and French fries and mozzarella sticks all in one sandwich.
All on one. It is probably to this day the most full sandwich I've ever had in my entire life.
Delicious, but you need like at least 5 cocktails in you before you enjoy one.
I think that was the mandatory part of actually getting the sandwich. Everybody's face was red and hungry.
Yeah, and they used to have like a U shape with like blasting music. It was like a party scene, and people would eat and
the grease trucks,
kind of hang out at the grease trucks.
Literally, this was before food trucks became cool like they are now. Back then, it was a U of 6 trucks and 1,000 people standing in a big pile, which during a pandemic wouldn't be possible right now.
No. And I heard actually my cousin went back and she was telling me that they're no longer there. And then now they have almost like a museum-ish thing set up, like
That's
like a memorial to the grease trucks of some kind,
like a trophy with a big truck on the top of it.
Yeah, I think you like walk into the entrance and it's like a grease truck on the outside.
Do you like leave a coin and say a prayer and light a candle?
I have no idea, but they should. They should.
Oh, for sure.
That was like the staple of I survived on those.
Well, we're about the same age, so I think anybody that went to Rutgers anywhere near that time period, it's probably the first thing they bring up. It's not what'd you major in, what campus is maybe the second question, but it's always grease trucks.
Yeah, what was your favorite fat sandwich?
100%.
Yeah, which one was your go-to?
Oh, man, I want to say it was called the Fat Daryl.
The Fat Daryl. Do you remember what was in it?
Everything. The funny thing is they were all a twist of everything.
Yeah.
So it was like the same 20 ingredients, but maybe you had 5 on this one, all 20 on another one, 7 on this one. It was different for everyone.
Yeah, it was fun stuff though. So why'd you leave Rutgers? And you were there for how long, you said?
So I was at Rutgers for, I want to say 3 semesters, almost 4 semesters. And then, so like I said, I grew up doing entertainment, and I got an offer to go on tour and tour with a pop artist, and I ended up leaving college.
How did they find you? Like,
so I grew up performing and competing, like was Mr. Dance of America when I was 16. So people knew from that circuit, they knew me, and they had heard that I left the business, or I wasn't in the business yet. I was a kid, but they had known that I'd left it, but somebody had randomly called me and said, hey, are you still
performing?
Maybe thinking about it? And I told myself that, hey, you're going to go to school. You're going to, take the opportunity with the track scholarship, get the science degree. And it was a situation I couldn't pass up. And I left. And my coach was not happy, to say the least.
Yeah.
I placed as a freshman in the Big East, and then now
that's not easy to do.
Telling
That's
him
tough.
I'm going to dance.
Yeah.
Which
he's like, what?
He's like, oh, what are you doing? So I left, and actually before I went on tour, I ended up doing a gig where I had performed on the NBA halftime show.
Oh, cool.
And I showed up in the front of the screen. My coach saw me on TV, and he shot me. Didn't shoot me a text. We didn't text then, but he gave me a ring, and he's like, all right. At least you're doing something. And I was like, all right. I
saw you on TV. What are you doing?
Thanks for the quasi blessing.
Yeah. So when you left, you toured and you worked.
Yeah, I want to say that was, God, let me remember. I know I did a gig in Vegas, and I was 20 years old, and I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I left on tour with Jessica Simpson. So back then we were all the same age, so it was a fun tour. And I was on tour with her for quite a while, a little over, I want to say, a year.
Awesome. And then when did you go to UNLV? I saw that also on your resume.
Yeah, so fast forward, not until about 9 years ago or 10 years ago when I first moved to Vegas. Okay. So in between that, like I did a whole entertainment career, and then I was commuting to New York City in New Jersey. I was on a Broadway show, commuting in, doing the show Wicked, and had my first kid. And then eventually, it was exhausting, like going into New York City. And the commute.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you see what people look like on the West Coast compared to the East Coast sometimes. Not saying, but you see the stress on their face.
Oh yeah.
3 hours of my day was commuting.
Yeah, I had a business trip to New York, and I just was there for like an hour.
Yeah.
And I couldn't park near the guy's building. I had to go down the street, walk through, smoke coming out of the places. It was cold. I mean, I was like, it's cool to visit.
Yeah.
But living there is a whole nother beast.
Another beast.
Yeah.
So when I was dating my wife and my sister were Rockettes together.
Oh, okay.
And so performing at Radio City, I used to come in, pick her up, and then she would stay in the car with me, and we'd just circle her block downtown in the East Village.
Yeah.
For 45 minutes, hour and 15 minutes until we finally found a parking space.
Yeah.
So
why nobody has cars.
Yeah. So at least we could hang out. She got in the car with me and we'd just ride around.
Oh, no kidding.
It was crazy. But,
that's awesome.
But yeah.
So what made you get out of performing? Just because of what you explained, like this being tired and.
So there in New York, like I said, hour and a half, 2 hours a day. Oh my God, not 2 hours. Hour and a half, 3 hours a day. So it was 1:15 to 1:30 each direction.
Oh wow.
So I'd get home at 12 o'clock and turn around and do it again. I looked around the country, and I had a friend who was here in a show, came and visited. I actually came here to go rock climbing, and I checked out Summerlin, and I was like, oh my God, this place is
nice.
Beautiful, and the weather's nice. And I was like, where in the country, in the world, can you be in entertainment and the shows don't close?
Nope.
Like on Broadway, even the good ones close.
Yeah.
And, I had kids at that point, and I was really seriously thinking about where can I be where I'm home, I'm with my family, we're doing things together. So looked at Vegas. It was the same pay as Broadway.
Yep.
69, literally exactly, more days off for the same pay.
Hey.
And
it's not
2
bad.
days in a row. And so we decided to make the jump. My wife was the first one. When you grow up in Jersey, you hear you got the mountains, you got the water, you got so you always think it's the ultimate place on the planet. Like, we've got everything.
Yeah.
And then, we came out, and honestly, we felt like we were on vacation the first couple of years.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I say this story to people all the time. Like I have a lot of clients right now from out of state.
Sure.
That's the thing right now in Vegas. People are moving here from California, Chicago, New York.
Yep.
And the first thing I always say is, honestly, the first 2 years, we felt like we're on vacation.
Yeah.
It's just a different lifestyle, and that was what we wanted. We wanted a different lifestyle, and we literally put our house on the market while I was in a show that I had a feeling would close. So it was 9 to 5, Dolly Parton's 9 to 5.
Yep.
And I put the house on the market, took a job with Cirque du Soleil actually, and I came out here and joined the show Love.
Oh, cool.
And I was there for 7 years, and
Wow.
I grew up around. My dad did real estate. My mom had the dance studio and everything, and immediately I had my license already in New Jersey.
Sure.
But I started doing real estate while doing the show at the same time.
Wow, that must have been a lot.
Yeah,
Because real estate's very demanding time-wise.
Big time.
Yeah,
and I want to say, guys would laugh. I would literally be typing and hearing the music that my cue was coming. I would literally start touching the period, and then I'd run
out.
Stage manager would be like, "Brendan, slow down." And I'd run up, jump over the car, run back around, give a client a call. I knew I had about 3.5 minutes. I'd be like, "Hey, just checking in. Don't worry, the appraisal's in." And then literally hang up, run back on stage.
See, that's awesome. That's what it takes, to be successful. And a lot of people don't realize it. It's like it's hard work, and you got to, and it also, and we're going to talk about that, to build a real estate career. At the beginning, you're not doing anything.
I was putting it all back in.
Yep.
So, you hear it all the time. You have a business.
Sure.
The ones that succeed are the ones that put it back into business, not back in their pocket, not driving a Lamborghini on year one of your business.
Correct.
Like literally for the first 3 years, I think I didn't pay myself a dime.
Yep.
I got it. I built a website. I bought signs, lock boxes. I focused on marketing. We did video pretty early on. Mm-hmm. Facebook marketing. We were doing it when it first started. And I was going all in. I wanted it to be a business.
Yeah.
And that's usually 15,000 agents in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I would say maybe 1,000 out of the 15,000 take it seriously as a business. And then maybe 250 do majority of all those transactions.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, specifically about you, is, you know, we've been in business since 2009 at Adlava, and we've never, besides you, worked with an agent before. And a lot of times, and I know other agents, and in a previous life I did real estate, which we can chat about before Adlava, actually.
This one.
Yeah. We have a lot of commonalities, but no, I'm not a performer though. You're not going to see me jumping around in Cirque shows anytime soon.
It depends on how many drinks. Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. I may have been there. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I forgot where I was going with that, but it's tough, you know. I mean, agents just tend to not reinvest in their business. They don't treat, I think what you said is perfect. They don't treat it like a business.
No, well, everybody's got their circle of friends. Some people have more friends than others, but if your only clients are only the people you know, everyone eventually runs out. Yep. So everyone starts at first, and, you know, Auntie May and Uncle Timmy and everybody comes to them, of course, but then problems happen. I know one new agent right now where things have been not on my team, but who jumped in with no assistance, not on a team, and doesn't have somebody overlooking their paperwork. Like
exactly.
That's not a transaction. If you hire an attorney and it's their first documents that they're looking at,
probably not a good idea.
Would an attorney's office take somebody and say, "Here, have a client. Good luck"?
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing about real estate, which is why you see a lot of change right now. I think consumers are asking for change.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So you started out at Realty One Group. Yep. Right. And while you were over at Cirque, why did you choose that brokerage? And, like, you know, tell me a little bit more about your experience working for them.
So at the time, they had a different model than most. We were guaranteed some things which were nice, and I had some nice great managers. Actually, one of them was a guy named Dave Tina, who now has his own brokerage called Urban Nest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yep.
And Dave was great. And at the time I needed assistance, he was there. And then, you know, I was looking for something different at the time. You know, it's not always, everyone's needs in real estate as far as from a brokerage are all really different.
Sure.
So one's better for one person could be not as good for another person.
Sure.
So Gavin Ernstone owns Simply Vegas. Gavin Ernstone and John Gafford. And Gavin is a beast. He literally
he's been in it for a long time.
He has, and he sells $100 million every year. He's a luxury agent, but he's a high touch, high quality luxury agent. His marketing is beautiful. It's impeccable. So I called him up. He said, "Yeah, mate, come on over." If you heard that accent, he'd say it was the worst English accent. But he said, "Hey, come on over, mate. Like, let's meet." And the first thing I asked him is, "Can I have your photographer? Can I have your graphic designer? Can I have your video guy?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's so important to put an emphasis on that, and that's something you do, and a lot of agents don't do, which is surprising to me because it's your brand. It's like any other business, like Adlava. We're not doing this podcast for fun, right? We're trying to build our brand and get our name out there and invest. You like it too. You said it before.
I do.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, like, it is fun. It's fun. I don't feel like working, so I'd rather talk to you. So yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, I just think a lot of people try to do real estate part-time and say, "Oh, I can just do a couple transactions a year." But the reality is no business works like that, right?
No.
You have to put time and energy into it.
Part-time attorney, a part-time doctor, like, or could you imagine calling a doctor and being like, let me get back. No, hold on one second. Like, that's what a lot of agents have, where you call and they're not professional, and that, like, no doctor's office would ever, the surgeon's not going to answer the phone. Yeah, no. Like, you're going to have somebody who qualifies you, then you're going to have an appointment, and then at that point, even maybe you're unqualified and they don't move you to that next step, but they refer you to somewhere else. Yeah. Like, that's what I see a lot of big teams across the country starting to do, is really tightening that whole process up. And they have a step-by-step, so everyone always knows what's going on. That's the big thing for me, is I don't want my clients to ever not know what's going on. If they have to call me first, then I'm already too late. That's a great point. That's a great way to look at it. You know how it is. If you're calling somebody to ask what's going on, then that means you're worried, hey, what's going on? And I feel like that's my job to get ahead of that. Well, and I see that, you know, like when a client emails our team and they beat us to the punch on something that we should have seen first, it drives me nuts. I can't stand that. And the fire reaction. Yeah. And
Yeah, and it happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're a team, you're relying on people, and things fall through the cracks. But to have a set process and really go through that is super important, and making sure everyone knows what their role is and their responsibility. And at the end of the day, it's all about the client, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So what? Backtracking a little bit back to your Cirque experience, because that's super interesting, right? I saw it on your LinkedIn. I was like, whoa, he's a Cirque performer. I had no idea. Was there any takeaways you had from being a performer that helped you in your real estate career?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, and first off, with Cirque, it was I've done everything in entertainment you could do pretty much. Mm-hmm. And the atmosphere at Cirque was pretty amazing, because it was not people who grew up didn't want to perform. These are
gymnasts, right?
Former world champs, Olympians, X Games gold medalists.
Oh, no way.
So you're surrounded by a third performers, a third acrobatics, and a third extreme sports. Just wanted to say that real fast. The atmosphere there was just really like,
unique.
You take a couple friends snowboarding, you don't expect all of them to throw doubles, and you're the worst athlete on
you thought you were great until you went there. That's the top of the line. I mean, that's the peak of performance right there.
But no, so you were saying, as far as
what were some takeaways? Like, I'm sure, one of the things I've learned from talking to people is like, the things they learned, even their youth and experiences I've had, going through college and whatever, kind of led me to where I am today. And I was curious as to like, what did you get out of performing that maybe helped you in your real estate career?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And honestly, I was a shy kid, believe it or not. And performing, I think, actually helped me kind of battle through that. Mm-hmm. And I was a little quiet. My mom used to laugh that I'd carry a bag of goldfish around and just eat the goldfish, and she was worried that I didn't know how to speak. Yeah. And so I think, through some struggles of having the confidence when I was little to get up there, it really, really, I think, helped me bust through that. And we've got a shy daughter right now, and we're making her perform. I'm not saying making her; she likes it, but I think if she didn't, she would still be kind of inside her shell. So I think definitely that, and your job in entertainment is to feel the energy of a room. Mm-hmm. And I think in business, in sales, in negotiations, it's almost the exact same thing, where based on someone's energetic response or how their face responds, if you're staring at 3,000 to 5,000 people every night, you feel the energy in the room. If it's positive or negative tension. I've traveled all over the world performing, and in Japan, the cultural reality of how they respond to a show is completely different.
How do they respond?
They don't.
They don't.
There is not a sound. You think you are the worst performer on the planet. Yeah. So if you're an American, where Americans are notoriously loud, then you're expecting, like, you do this trick in America, and then you get there and it's like, they don't like me. So
do they clap at the end or anything?
They go crazy at the end. They clap for 10, 15 minutes straight. And then they bring gifts and they throw things on stage, and they come to the stage door. So they're just told to respect your time and your focus. Yeah. And then they just give you all of it at one time. It's
amazing.
Culturally completely different. But things like that are, interestingly enough, you learn these things and kind of take them in. I got the opportunity to travel around the world, and you learn about, like, in Thailand, you'll have a giant castle next to 17 rows of homes with boarded up windows. And like, you start to, in real estate, that doesn't really happen in America. Usually there's some, like, very defined areas. Sure. Other countries, it's just very different. And I think traveling also helped me. But on the business level, I think absolutely the discipline, the ability to work together. You're in high stress, especially in
dangerous too. I mean,
TV and anything live. Like I did Dancing with the Stars. I've always been obsessed with the behind the scenes of entertainment, even more than the on stage. Believe it or not. Yeah, I think that's why I love business so much. Mm-hmm. Watching the way a live show that is recorded works is probably one of the most organized things you will ever see in your entire life.
Really, I've never been a part of something like that.
It's like 3, 2, 1. Could you imagine now? Yeah. You've got lights, you've got audio, you've got to now telecast it. So then you've got sound delays, you've got a show that hopefully is ready to go. Like you've got the element of a contest. This is a contest. So like watching that whole thing unfold from behind the scenes, if my business could be exactly that, then
you're good.
You're good. Like any business.
Yeah.
And when you see live entertainment, the energy of that is kind of how I feel even in my own office. Sometimes I know the team looks at me and they're like, oh no, he went to a conference.
He's all pumped up.
We're screwed. Because I think I kind of carry that energy from my live entertainment days where I'm never, I don't want to say I'm never satisfied. That doesn't really come across the way I want it to, but I'm always
pushing yourself to get better.
100%. Yeah. And you do the same in live entertainment. And I feel that's kind of carried over to business where, you know, if you're in live entertainment, you need to be doing what's accepted and trendy and people like and all that. Yeah. It's kind of the same in marketing. You need to be able to catch their eye. We're not doing a podcast right now because it's not popular. People like podcasts right now. They like vlogs. They like to know people. Back in the day, you could kind of hide behind your business. Yeah. You can't do that anymore. They want to know who Nick is. Yeah. Oh, cool. Nick's from Jersey. Yeah. Nick used to eat fat cats in college. That's cool. Like,
we won't tell every story from Rutgers, but
I'll keep those.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, it's just awesome to hear all the things you did before. I mean, it's a really interesting background.
It's honestly, I feel like it shaped me in so many ways. And even on my team, I've got one girl was on the national team for the Canadian, for diving, platform diving. Okay. Another guy was one of the best trampolinists in the world. Another guy I toured with back in the day, actually one of my first gigs on a cruise ship, he was my boss. So it's funny.
Oh, no way.
He was on Broadway. And then we've got other people on the team that are just, I'm expecting that same level in real estate, and they bring it. Yeah. And I feel like because of being around people that were at the top of what they do, that's what I expect now too. Like I want that same thing. I want the best escrow title company. Yep. I want the best lender who's going to deliver, communicate, do a good job, and equally be a pleasant person to deal with.
Sure, but you want to find the best, or be able to cultivate someone that has. We've brought on people here where they were a little rough on the skills, but like I always tell everyone, like you can train skills, but you can't train them to be a good person, to have work ethic. And I think a lot of the people you mentioned that work for you are ex-performers, right? So that performance background, you know what it takes to be at that level and to perform. Yeah. And it's obviously a characteristic in the type of people you want to work with, which is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it drives my wife nuts sometimes, but but you know what? She's equally the same way. And
she's going to be watching this, by the way. So.
Hey, my wife's amazing. I would never, like, in all ways, we're similar like that. If we want to cook, we'll find the best recipe we can, and we're all out. We're going to make pasta from scratch. Heck yeah, we're going to do it.
That's awesome.
Like that's fun to me, and same with business. Like I like to kind of take things apart and then put them back together, and hopefully it's something that is improved from what it was.
100%. So you have kids, you mentioned?
Yeah, 2 kids.
Boy, girl, or
2 girls. I have a 4-girl household. We have a female dog as well. So a girl dog named Sushi. Okay. And then my 2 girls, Avery and Ella. Okay. Who are 10 and 12. My oldest turns 13 tomorrow.
Oh wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then of course my wife as well, Amy.
Yeah, I got 2 boys, and it's a lot of work. I got a 3-year-old and 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old.
Okay, I was trying to make sure they weren't 10 and 12.
No, yeah, exactly. 2 boys. Watch out. Keep them away. Yeah, but it's I mean, especially during the pandemic when quarantined with a 1-year-old and trying to work, it was not easy.
We had one point where all 4 of us were on Zooms and just muting ourselves and like, you go in the other room. No, you go in the other room.
Because they're at the age where they're eating up your internet. Right?
100%. Yeah, we up to 1 gigabit because like all 4 of us on Zooms. I'm in the guest room, like sitting on a bed trying to look professional behind me. Yeah. One's outside, like walking around the pool, trying to do school. Yeah. Like, get inside, sit down. Like,
oh man, I was on Zoom calls. My son's like, Dad, I want banana, and like screaming bananas, like, and I'm like, he doesn't understand the concept that I'm on the phone.
Well, no, they do. Here's the thing about kids, especially, with the 3-year-old probably. Yeah. Excuse me. They, as soon as the phone touches your ear,
that's when they want.
That's when they want you.
Yeah.
Before that, they're like peaceful. Yeah. creepy Cailloux on TV.
Because they want your attention like 24 hours.
And then as soon as that phone hits your ear,
it's done.
There they are.
Yeah. It's great having kids, but it's challenged balancing work and having kids. And when they get to the age that your daughters are at, you're running around, like you said, dance recitals and
chauffeur.
Yeah.
It's the chauffeur stage.
What's like that? Warn me right now. What do I got going for me coming up?
It's crazy. They have their schedules are worse than ours. Like our daughter right now, she's the lead in Frozen. She's gonna actually next week. She's performing and she's there every day from 3 to 7.
Oh wow!
The other one finishes dance at 8 or 9 at night.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dinner's too late. But like naturally, we probably wouldn't eat until then anyway because everybody's so busy.
Sure.
But I'm home at 7 or 8. I have to pick up one of them. The other one's home at 8. We're eating at 8:30, 9, and then turning around and going to sleep.
Yeah, and doing the whole thing over
again. Back up
again.
at 5 and continue on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we're able to do it somehow. Some days I'm like, I can't do it. I come home from work and I'm like, oh my God, changing diapers at 8 o'clock. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm happily past the diaper stage for sure.
Yeah,
but
I'm looking forward to getting out of that.
Now I get the preteen.
Oh, good luck.
Preteen attitude stage.
I still remember my sister when she was in her teenage years, and it was challenging for my parents. I would say.
No, I remember my sister's 4 years older, so I remember my brother and I just laughing because we watched my parents deal with it, and the two of us were 12 and 10. Just like,
yeah, good luck with that. So let's transition into like your current career. With the Brendan King Group, like, what do you guys have like a niche, or is there anything that you focus on? I know you do a lot, right? But tell us a little bit more about your core focus at the company.
Sure. Yeah. So like I said before, it's about a team of 6. We deal with the entire valley. That's why we have a team. So we've literally sold everything from the most expensive home in the valley at $13 million a few years ago.
Oh wow!
To all the way down to $100,000, and each of us kind of target a different demographic. So that's why I have a team. So that depending on the type of client, then we have the right person for that situation.
What is your focus?
Typically, I'll handle more of the upper price ranges. I have a lot of experience in that. I like the $13 million sale was a casino magnate in town who was super well known and, he very demanding, wanted things immediately. And I'm sure
at that price, you'll be like, okay, I'll work with you.
Yeah. And I quite enjoy that. I really do. He literally would call and say, "Who's my neighbor?" And he just like, "I'll wait." And pull over in the car. Pull up tax records. Send them all the tax records. Here you go, Mr. So and so. Da 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 da.
Sure.
And another time he wanted. One of the neighbors was a celebrity in town. He said, "Get me the number," and I said, "Okay," and then hung up and said, "Oh."
What did you do?
No, I called everybody I knew that was this particular guy was in entertainment. So I called every stage manager I knew to get a hold of the stage manager that.
What did he want to talk to him about?
The lot that was for sale next to his house.
Got it. Okay.
So I ended up calling and getting a hold of his personal assistant, and then he said, "Yeah, he's out on the jet ski right now in Bermuda. As soon as he gets back, I'll have him call you." And I connected them, and that kind of, I love stuff like that. Yeah. Like I feed off that.
Well, it's a human connection too. And in real estate, what's cool about it is you're meeting all different walks of life and building relationships. My mother does real estate, and she's good friends with people she sold homes to. She specializes in 55 plus communities.
Oh yeah.
And she lives in Siena, and she does really well. And
I've got a listing appointment tomorrow at 9 a.m. in Siena.
Oh, do you? Yeah. It's a nice community out there.
Send me your mom's number. I'll see if she knows anybody.
There you go. Yeah. She works primarily with buyers.
Yeah.
She does great, but she does a great job, and she cares a lot about her customers. And it's I think it's a lucrative business financially, but it's also emotionally a great business too. Like you can really build. Yeah.
It is grueling. Like it is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you have to be the type to be able to just let it not bother you, as far as the fact that you may get a text at 11 p.m.
Sure.
But that's when people aren't working. Yeah. So they finally sat down, and now their mind's going about, the house. So we have to handle things at that time.
How do you organize your day and keep organized with the chaos, if you will? Like getting those 11 o'clock calls, and maybe you need to get up early. You know what I'm saying? Like how do you manage it?
My wife says somehow numb to the stress of it. It is what it is to me. Like, that's a good saying I use a lot, is it is what it is. Like, there's certain scenarios when, things can go sideways that are not your fault in a deal. Maybe it's a lender. Maybe someone decided that it was a really good idea to buy a Maserati when they're buying a $400,000 house and they're closing in a week.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Yeah.
But everything's fixable. Everything's reversible. Everything is sometimes not fixable, but you have to be willing to do what you can to make sure that is the case, and then push forward. I don't let things bother me.
Yeah.
And when it comes to organizing my day, every day's different, but that's what I like about it.
Sure.
Like, if you were to say, here's your schedule every day, which was kind of what it was like in showbiz, which I did like at that time.
Yeah.
Because I knew I could show up and do that part while having my real estate chaos during the day.
Sure.
So that balance, at least I knew I could click the card and never not give 110, always 110. But at least I knew I was within centimeters of the same spot and exactly the same time of the music.
Yeah.
And then in this side, on the real estate side, I thrived on the change every single day, which is fun.
Oh, yeah.
I have 30-day cycles of friends.
Yeah.
Where you have a group of people, 30 days, they're, sometimes out of your life, and because they may move away.
Oh, yeah.
But you had this great experience with them. And I'll always check in and just say, hey, how's Florida? How's Minnesota?
Sure.
And they'll usually reach out and say, hey, we're loving our place here.
Yeah.
One of my clients moved to Pennsylvania, and I always tease him because he's one of my favorite clients. He's just hilarious. And he literally calls me. He's like, Brendan, I need to go back to Vegas. He literally was like, I'm going back to Vegas. He's like, forget it. So last night he messaged me. He said, I love my house. Look what we did. And I was like, oh, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that when they send me the renovations.
Oh, sure.
That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
But this particular client, last night, I texted him back and I said, I bet you are missing the heck out of Pennsylvania right now.
Yeah.
And he just shot the laughing emoji back to me and he said, nope.
Yeah. Everyone I talk to, I know friends back east, I'm like, why are you guys still living back there? I mean, you got to wake up and shovel, scrape your windshield and deal with the cold and snowing 22 inches. And I'm sorry, I'm not passing that up.
I love the snow personally.
Yeah.
We have a place up in Bryan Head. And,
nice.
The nice thing is, in the West Coast, you can go to it and then get the heck out of it.
Exactly.
You enjoy it. You look at it. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's why when it snowed, well, kind of snowed here, a few weeks ago, I was like, man, this is nice to see snow.
My kids had a school day.
Did they really?
Yeah. When you're on the East Coast, and it was a ahead of time scheduled snow day.
Really?
You remember as a kid, you would turn the radio on.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
School zone,
yeah.
Canceled. And you're like,
yeah. It was all on the radio. And we'd all be huddled around like, did they say Montgomery High School? Did they say
yeah. And then you're not even sure because there's so many schools in New Jersey. They're like, I think they said my school.
Yeah,
but
those are some funny memories, though.
I'll just tell Mom they did.
I can't believe they called school off here.
Yeah. Well, one of my daughters, not the other one. But they ahead of time called it off because they were like, hey, we've got the capability right now to do online right away.
Yeah.
Because thanks to the pandemic, some technologies like that have pushed forward.
Yeah.
Even for us with Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday was like Zoom day. We got a Zoom bar. So with clients, I can go on the calendar and save as a guest BKG Zoom bar. BKG meaning Brendan King Group.
Yep.
So then this TV in our office, I can hit a button and then boom, there's our client, full size.
It's awesome.
I sat with 4 clients in a row yesterday, and you just feel like you're in the same room.
Do you guys have your own office, or are you out of the brokerage?
So we have a small office in the brokerage, and we just moved to another space. My wife has a Pilates studio in town called Sculpt and Sweat, and next door to that, we had a pretty large space that we were planning on actually pushing her business into that side too. Okay. And March 12th, we put the wall up.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah. We were actually in Bryan Head. We get, the world shutting down. Yeah. So we decided not to expand at that time. But thank God, you know what? That at least we didn't do it yet. Yeah. But it also gave us space to space all her reformers out and do her business with 10 feet between each client.
How's her business doing now with everything going on?
It's good. It's not back. I think anybody in fitness, I'm sure you'll have somebody in here from fitness. Nobody's back to normal. So she loves her clients. She has very devoted clients. Some of them are on Zoom now.
Oh, it's awesome.
Which, at least she has that ability. And then we moved into the space next door.
Okay.
So I can like open the door and be like, hey.
That's awesome.
And then pop back over, and it's a big open space with like the cross trusses.
Oh, cool. Where's it at? West side? Or?
Yeah, we're on Tropicana and Hualapai.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
6 minutes from home. My daughter's school's right nearby. So we're just kind of trying to keep it all close to home.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So going back to, when you first started out, because I'm always interested in real estate. It's like, a lot of people get into it and they give up early on because that's the hardest part. You have to build up a pipeline. And then once you start getting clients, if you do a good job, they start referring you to friends and family, and it kind of snowballs from there. Sure. How long did it take for you to build momentum to where you could be like, okay, I can do this full time? It's enough money, or I'm surviving. When was that? How long did it take?
So I just realized today that I've had my license for 9 years.
Okay.
So I didn't officially go full time until about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I left Cirque, and that was when I kind of ripped the Band-Aid off and said, you know what, I've got a sustainable business that I know I can create a team from this.
Sure.
And prior to that, I was sustainable for sure. But like you said before, you can't do it full out and also have another job. I was working 70 hours a week. So no client knew that I had another job.
Sure.
But I didn't think I was giving it a full attempt by doing both.
How did you schedule that? Because obviously you mentioned earlier that it was pretty rigid with the schedules.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, you mentioned a little bit during the performance.
Like literally I would be on stage and some guys would be like, hey, Brendan, I want to sell my house. And I'd be like, all right. And we're on stage literally and like flipping over something. And I turn to them, all right, how about tomorrow, 2:00? Like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow too.
Did you get a lot of business from other performers?
I did, yeah.
Okay,
so that helped because we were on the same schedule.
Sure.
So I was up every day anyway at 6 a.m. because my wife worked mornings and I worked nights. So, I'd get the girls ready, get them to school.
Yep.
And then I would literally go from 8 until whatever time I had to be at the show.
Oh, wow.
So it was, 8 to 3-ish, 8 to 4-ish, and then run over there, do the whole Cirque crazy makeup thing, and then jump on stage.
That's wild, man.
One day I turned to my artistic director, which is kind of the person in charge at the shows, and I didn't even say anything. She looked me in the eyes and she's like, it's time, huh?
You're done.
So she always checked in with me because she knew. She's like, Brendan, I know you're busy. Like, I know a lot of people you work with. And I said, it's time.
Yeah.
And I, ripped the Band-Aid off, and then we took off. And actually that high-end client was a couple months later, and that kind of helped catapult from there.
Yep.
And then I know you had mentioned before I started at Realty One. Why'd I move to Gavin?
Yeah.
It was for the fact, like I said, that I could turn to him and say, hey, I have this issue, or I have this type of client. What's your advice? And it's always very good advice. And in this case with this client, I called him and he said, I think you've got this, Brendan. You've developed the relationship.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, go for it, drive forward. But that's where he's really great. Like as far as advice is concerned.
Sure.
Sometimes he's just like, you got this. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And it takes that experience, right? And sometimes you feel iffy when you're first starting out.
Anything.
Am I going to do it wrong? Do I have all the contracts right? And to be able to bounce ideas or get feedback from someone that's done it is always.
And even now,
crucial.
like I have that favorite list on my phone where attorneys, accountants, 1031 exchanges, anything like that where it's a very specific thing. I know enough about it, but I always consult an attorney or an accountant or, a 1031 specialist because rules change.
Sure.
Anything with law, with contracts, it's not a set in stone thing.
No.
Somebody sues somebody and everything changes.
Yeah. And there's some crazy stuff that my mom tells me stories about some stuff that happens with her, and like it's a done deal, and right at the last second it goes to hell.
You think you know everything about humans until you do real estate. There is some. There's some funny stories, but and some of the people that you think you don't really know until they buy or sell a house.
Well, because it's such an emotional purchase. It's a big purchase, right? Sometimes for some people, probably not the guy that bought a $13 million home, but it's their biggest purchase they'll ever make. And so, there's a lot of, blood, sweat, and tears that went into the money that they made to be able to make the purchase. And so you're dealing with their emotions.
100%.
Which is always challenging. Like for us at Adlava, there's an emotional side to it. but it's more of a business focus, financial focus. It's not like they're thinking about their kids or what the schools are like.
Yeah.
And, so it's a whole different beast.
We're ingrained in their life at that point.
Yep.
Like you're showing up and having documents signed while they're trying to feed their kids because it's after work.
Sure.
And so you really, like my one client's daughter, I tried to make sure she was in the video for the property because she's like really animated and excitable. So I was like, I would love to have her in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you really do get intertwined with their life. I have another client just moved to Seven Hills and, they were so thankful. And I worked with them for 11 months. They moved from Boston, the nicest people. They were a referral from an old performing client.
Sure.
Actually, it's his sister.
Okay.
And I was so happy for them when we found the house that was the house.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing with my team is you hear all the time with agents being like, you should put an offer in, you should put an offer in.
Yeah.
We'll tell you the real deal of what's going on.
Sure.
Okay, it's a very competitive market. You need to move quick.
Yep.
But never, ever, ever, I tell this to the whole team, we never try to get somebody to put an offer in on something that they don't choose to put an offer in.
That's a great,
Like I want to find their forever home and they call me 3 months later and they say, hey, like I love this property. I love the neighborhood. Not, like, why did you force me into this house?
Yeah, exactly. So as one of the top agents in the US, like what are some things that you think you did that either other agents don't do or a lot of other business owners in general don't do? Is there anything specific that you can pinpoint that you're like, this has really helped grow my business?
And you know what? Like I said, I like to network a lot. I like to go to conferences. Mm-hmm. And the one kind of, I would say, through line that seems to carry from one agent to the next that I know is very similar is just over delivering. You know what I mean? Like you want stats about a property. Here's the stats, but here's also this and this and this, and here's the schools. And by the way, I know the restaurant owner down the street, amazing family. They've had this restaurant for 18 years. If you love to travel, 3 hours away is Bryan Head. Sure. Don't forget that Mount Charleston is here. Like little things like that you think are small bits of information. If someone's new, they don't know that they can ski at Mount Charleston 45 minutes away. Yeah. They have no idea. Like they could literally golf and ski in the same exact day. Yeah. And that blows people's minds at first.
People don't know that about this town. And I always call it, it's an amazing hub because, Vegas is a very dynamic city and growing, but then, you're an hour or so from Zion and you can go to Bryan Head. We did a company trip to Bryan Head, rented a cabin and we had a blast. I mean, it's beautiful up there.
Oh, in the summer. So because of the pandemic, we went up a lot this summer for the first time. We bought it 2 years ago, but we'd only gone in the winter. And the summer is amazing because in the winter, you can only get so far because the snow is 80 feet high. Sure, yeah. But in the summer, you could just go and go and go. And there's Bryce, Zion, the whole mountain range all the way up to Park City. Yeah. It's just amazing country. It's really nice.
Plus, we're a flight away, 45 minutes to LA if you want, or a 4-hour drive. You can I like to go to Scottsdale. We went there for Christmas. It's just nice.
Great, yeah. Well, even like my brother lives in Los Feliz in LA. I think I've been to the beach the same amount of times he has.
Oh, yeah. They don't go.
From Vegas. You don't go to the beach because it takes 80 hours. Yeah. So I'll be like, hey, we're heading over to California. You want to go? Yeah, we'll go. Yeah. And it's literally, I think the same, maybe he's been a few more times. Sure. My brother started sailing recently, so he's been going a little more often. But yeah.
Our last guest said he was from Irvine or whatever, but he also lived near the beach. And he was like, once you live there, you become almost spoiled or whatnot. And you don't go.
Well, it's like the Statue of Liberty, or the Empire State Building, or Times Square. Like things you just don't do. Yeah, if you live in New Jersey.
Or it's like the Strip, like we'll go for like big dinners or if friends are in town, but for the most part, pretty much avoid it at this point.
And I think I sound like an old man when I go. I'm like, I gotta walk, and you gotta all these hallways and the smoke. It's so smoky in here. That's actually a good point. One thing I always explain that out of like this weekend, I have a client coming in from Chicago, who's a referral from a couple other Chicago clients. Sure. The restaurants in Vegas are awesome. Like they're great. Yeah. Like not even mentioning the Strip. Like the fact that now a lot of the chefs that used to
work on the
Strip and then go to LA, go to New York, go to Chicago, now they stay here. Yeah. And they see the fact that they can start a family here and have their own restaurant, and the spaces don't cost $20 a square foot.
Exactly.
Like I think my space is $1 a square foot. Yeah. Like my dad laughs because they have 4 spaces for their dance studios in New Jersey, and he's like, what?
Yeah, it's like unheard of. I feel like the secret's getting out though, the way things are going.
So that's a good point actually, because that's why our prices are skyrocketing right now.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things I'm worried about, because it was always super affordable. And when you look at pound for pound, all the things you can do outdoors, entertainment, phenomenal restaurants, it's endless, right?
Plane, like you can hop on a plane and go anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
As of 10 years ago, you couldn't do some of these direct flights, but that new terminal opened up, I guess you could say, the whole world. Like it really did. Like you can go to Berlin, Germany now. You can fly direct to Japan. You can, I think we have direct flights to Hawaii from here now as of this year. Like things like that just keep adding and
plus
adding.
The convention center, as living here and you have a convention, it's here.
Yeah.
So you just got to drive 15 minutes to go to the convention center.
But even actually, I have one that I was supposed to go to last year and this year. Hopefully this year it happens. I don't know. But or even like we have tickets to the minor league stadium for the Aviators.
Oh, cool.
Like they did an amazing job on that stadium. We used to have one of the worst in the country. Now we have the best.
Yep.
Golden Knights.
I'm a big fan. Yeah,
Foley did an amazing job with that.
Yep.
And then now the Raiders are trying to copy everything that the Golden Knights did because they saw the success they had.
Yeah.
I had a buddy who worked for Cirque who got a call from MGM in New York City, and they were like, because they knew that Cirque had done a lot of gigs with the Golden Knights.
Sure.
And they said, we want you to replica everything that you did with the Knights.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? Like, this is crazy.
Well, they became like a template for how to run a professional sports franchise.
And they're brand new. That's the crazy thing is MGM, that Madison Square Garden, MSG, sorry, not MGM. I've got Vegas on the mind.
Yeah.
MSG, which is Madison Square Garden, where if you grow up in New Jersey or New York, that's where the Knicks play.
Yep.
They're looking for advice on what to do. They've been around. They're an institution.
And that's probably their problem, though. Is one thing, this town is all about is innovation.
Yeah.
And I think the Golden Knights, what they did was they didn't poo-poo on the city. They embraced it.
Yeah.
And they made it a Vegas experience. So you have Cirque performers and, drummers and,
they kept it classy, too.
They did.
They didn't go the cheesy route.
No, it wasn't Elvis.
There are times where I'm like, can we lose the poker chips?
Yeah.
I think we can work past this.
Yeah.
But I've had some clients signed an NDA, so I can't say too much. But there's some exciting things coming near the Strip with some future type cities that they're testing in Vegas first. And the reason for it is because the Strip is right there, and some of the biggest people from all over the world come there at least once a year. Yep. So they can say, hey, while you're here, can you check out this example of a future city? Sure. And I'm in the middle of placing this particular client who's one of the developers for this. And he said, this is pretty huge for Vegas. And we've got a few of those developments. Uncommons off the 215 is going to be this indoor-outdoor work-live play space.
It's like near Durango, is it?
Yep. Yeah. That one's going to be great. The Bend, Jay Dapper, another great developer in town who's really creative, does really fun things. He's got a great development going in there across from IKEA. Yeah. Like these are the things that make this city so unique.
And it's real infrastructure too. Like before, everything was very focused on the Strip. Yeah. And then maybe like downtown and whatnot, or the South Strip expansion. And now you have like the Sphere. You've got the Elon Musk building the
and they're expanding that. They're already expanding it.
Yeah.
They're already like, hey, you know what? This is the place to check it out. Let's see. How nice would that be if one day that thing pops out in Henderson or Summerlin, and you've got a tube that connects the whole city, and they decide to do that.
And what other cities doing this?
Elon,
yeah, exactly.
Are you listening?
But like, what other cities doing this kind of stuff? That's why that's the whole point of this podcast, is to talk to people like you that are doing real things and see all these things that a lot of people don't get to experience, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So going back to your real estate experience, you built a team. And you mentioned there's some of them are performers and things like that. At what point in the career did you start adding people on, and what specific roles do they all focus on besides the niche of like your luxury, your this? Are there specific like admin responsibilities, or like how did you build the team? I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah, so we have an office manager who's also a TC or transaction coordinator. We used to have a not virtual, but kind of, I guess you could say virtual, non-in-house transaction coordinator. We decided to move that in-house. Okay. And then we have something called an ISA, which is an inside sales agent. That person, high touch, goes through our database and makes sure that we're connecting with everybody. So if I have a listing and a buyer is interested, the last thing I would ever want is for a lead to come in that's not taken care of immediately.
Sure.
So that's his position, is to then high touch,
Buyers specifically, or
buyers specifically in that situation, but then also sellers. If somebody connects with us, we want to be able to reach out to them right away.
okay.
So the way real estate is going, and this is across the country, a lot of my friends who are doing 300 and 500 million, they have kind of a model where they have a group of people who first connect with the client and then immediately set up an appointment with an agent, so that then they're getting that customer service where they're not having to think about old Zillow when someone would request information
Sure.
and then they would never get a call back.
Yeah.
Like that's what Zillow's even doing now. They're starting to do something called Zillow Flex, where someone requests it, they ping it to 5 agents, and they try to connect them immediately.
Interesting.
We're kind of doing a similar style to that. We have a lead line, things come in.
Are they licensed agents? Or
The ISA is not, and they don't ask anything real estate related.
Got
so
it.
It's more about like, hey, how are you? Thank
Customer
you.
service.
Exactly, 100%. And then the agents then connect with the client right away. And we have a pretty intricate CRM that then, or customer management software, that then connects with them. It texts them, it sends them emails, and something we're working on right now is doing informational videos that then also automatically go out. And then, thanks to you guys, our new website is very easy to use. So then our blog posts and pages, we're able to quickly drop in a video, quickly drop in information, and get it out in minutes.
What type of videos you guys doing?
So half the reason for moving to the new space is to get these out. And we had one of our video guys come in and just do one about us as human beings.
Sure.
Like, not, hey, we sell your house.
Yeah.
Like, very much like, hey, we like what we do a good job, we work hard. And it was very much kind of a branding video.
Sure.
And then now from here, we're going to chunk it down to something as simple as, why should I get a pre-approval? Or I want to buy a house. Where do I start?
Yeah.
And little things like that you could find yourself searching, and then getting those into YouTube, IGTV, LinkedIn,
Sure.
Now Clubhouse, like maybe getting together on Clubhouse and doing like Vegas real estate. Let's get together, all chat.
You got to get your podcast going, man.
Yeah, seriously.
I heard you told me you had all the equipment and everything.
Yeah, literally once the pandemic happened, I was like, I got to pivot. And I bought literally everything you see right here. I think I have all of it.
Yeah. Everybody panicked, right? When that first happened, we're like, we don't know what's going to happen, but it ended up being good for your business.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
So the market's on fire, and most of that comes from low inventory, high interest. And so it's not like we're selling more. We're selling a little more than normal, but it's the frenzy of the fact that we don't have enough properties to replace it.
Yeah.
Like last month, I actually brought some stats with me, just like real quick. And last month, 3,000 homes sold, and the inventory is 3,200.
What's typical? What's the multiple on what a typical?
So typical, in a like a even market, not buyer, not seller, you're close to 10,000, 11,000. Down to 3. So inventory is what we usually use, like months of inventory. We're at nearly 1 month of inventory.
Wow.
An even market is close to 4 or 5.
Wow.
So what that tells us right now is, if 1 month of homes sell and nothing else comes on, everything's gone.
Wow.
So we're at all times 1 month away from inventory. No business carries 1 month of inventory on the books.
Why are people not selling? More people not putting their home on the market? Is it
a couple things? Some people are scared of COVID, of course, and the pandemic. Some people, there's some forbearance. Like some people have forbearance, which means they're able to push off the payment of their loan.
okay?
Also, evictions are being kind of kicked down the street right now. Like if
Till June, right? So,
yeah, well, they've pushed it back so many times.
Sure.
I've kind of stopped
following
because I know once it then reverses, then that's the more important date. So it literally was November, then it was March, then June. So we'll see at this point, but that kind of kicks the investors down the street, because then they can't evict a client if they're not paying. But equally, understandably, they're helping people out at a point in time when, they need some help.
Sure.
And so the big thing, a lot of people are like, is this 2008?
Yeah.
And one major difference between 2008 and now is that people have a ton of equity. In 2008, people didn't have a lot of equity. You had no interest loans. You had high interest loans. You had a lot of situations. Everybody and their mother could get a loan.
Oh, yeah.
No doc loans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I make $300,000.
I worked at a bar back then, and every busser and bar back had did you buy a house yet? And I'm like, no. I felt like I was missing out on.
I knew performers that had 5 homes.
Yeah.
And then, got left. They got left with 5 homes in a situation where prices went way down. I owned a house in Jersey at the time of the crash, and sold it for what we bought it for. But we had improved it by $70,000, $80,000. So that $70,000-$80,000 loss.
Sure.
But then I came here and I had no idea what the situation was. Like, I didn't know it was as bad as it was. And, bad. And different story here where everybody had purchased in a very short period of time with very high risk loans.
Sure.
And, that completely collapsed the market. The indicators right now don't tell me that that's the case.
Sure.
I'm always watching it, but one of the positives, like I said, is the heavy amount of equity and the interest. The interest in Vegas. We have a lot of people from Cali that now are working from home.
Yep.
I have a couple people that work in HR for pretty big companies that tell me that they don't think 30% of the workforce will ever go back in the near future.
Yeah.
So those are interesting bits of facts where I'm like, you know what, that's going to, in some ways, help markets like Boise, Nashville, Texas, us because of low taxes, no corporate tax, or no taxes, I should say, on income.
Yeah.
And then low real estate taxes. My first house in New Jersey.
Well, it's scary, right? Property tax.
2004, $445,000 house, 1,500 square feet. I think my taxes were $9,000.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
They're now, for a house 1,000 square feet more, my taxes are a third of what they were then, you know?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, I'll tell you a little personal story. So I thought I was smart, and my wife and I was like, I feel like this is like '08. My gut tells me we got to sell our house. So we sold our house, and we did pretty good. And the same model, like a few weeks later, sold for about $15,000 less. Yeah. But I keep looking at the market, talking to my mom who's in real estate, and I'm like, things keep going up. Yeah. Our neighborhood went down a little bit, or is kind of stabilizing in Mountain's Edge. Yeah. But, we were hoping to make money on the gain, and then home prices go down and buy something. Looks like we'll be renting for a while, I guess. So we didn't want to stay in the house forever anyway. Yeah. So I don't really regret it. But I was banking on it. I thought I was being smart, but I obviously wasn't.
What? There's something's got to give at this point. We don't know what that is yet. Yeah. But I'm big on following all indicators, and between the stock market and Bitcoin,
which is also crazy,
and Bitcoin and housing, when especially here we have really high unemployment. At some point, I'm not one of those like perfect optimists where I think things can continue forever. We're exceeding affordability a little bit here. Yeah. Because everybody who's coming here has more money than the people who are here.
Living here. Yeah.
So how that dust settles, I don't know yet. Yeah. But I think that's part of the pushing of the prices right now, is that a lot of these people from California are used to 40,000 over list, 30,000 over list. Vegas, a lot of people aren't used to that. I'm not paying over list. Yeah. Forget that. Yeah. I wouldn't do that.
And for them, it's cheap too. I mean, you say spend $800,000 in California, you're living in a shack.
I have one family that just bought a house. It was my listing. The most recent comp was like $550,000. We put it on for $625,000. We were under contract. 2 offers pushed above $645,000. And the family that bought it from Santa Cruz sold 3 homes there. And this house is bigger, nicer. It's got a strip view, mountain view.
And they don't care about overpaying. They made good money on the homes they sold, right?
No, and they said they would cover whatever the appraisal difference was. That that doesn't happen with somebody who lives here because they're not used to that. Sure. They're not willing to do that. But somebody from a different world, pretty much, they're willing to do it, and that's kind of what's driving some of our price appreciation. Low inventory, high interest. but also people numb to our market who have a lot more cash than people who live here.
Exactly. When do you see the whole California mass exodus slowing down, or do you think it's just gonna be the new norm?
It's got to slow down, and I would assume it at some point. At some point, will they stay?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, will they come here for a year, 2 years, take their appreciation and go?
Yeah.
Or will they come here, enjoy it more than they realize,
And stay.
and then stay and like we were talking about, go and have their beach trips where when they're at the beach, it's actually a true vacation, not where they live. You know, who knows? I don't know. I wish I knew if I had a crystal ball, you know.
It's just such a bizarre market, because when I saw that 18,000 people got laid off at MGM, that's when I was like, I went home. I was like, we should sell our house. Like, this is not good. And
that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's where there's some indicators that are. I see why it's going up. I know why it's going up.
Sure.
But something's got to give at some point. I don't know that it'll be housing prices. Will it be the market? Will it be the dollar? Will it be inflation?
All of the above.
Who
knows?
Like, it's just, it's almost too good to be true across the board.
Feels that way.
So I know why we are where we are now, and it will continue for now because, like I said, 1 month of inventory. To replace that and increase, you have to have more inventory to have a situation where the prices don't increase. We don't have that now. And if we have 1 month and it takes 4 months, then that's already 3 months of no sales to get to an even market.
Yeah.
So then that means 3 months plus, another 4, 5, 6. So in the next 9 to 12 months, I just can't see how it'll change.
So I am going to be renting for a while.
start hopping on the internet.
You'll have to let me know when you think.
I heard the rates are really good at the Excalibur right now.
Yeah, exactly. It'd probably be cheaper than the rental. That's another thing too. Is that
rents are up too.
We were looking at rentals and they were flying. I mean, my mom, because she, like I mentioned, she's a realtor. She found a place to hit the market. It has dirt in the backyard.
Yeah,
it is a nice community, but we were like, we'll take it. We couldn't find a rental.
I'm actually, believe it or not, leaving here right now when I leave, and I'm meeting a California client, and he's a celebrity that's leaving Venice Beach. He just rented his house on the canal in Venice Beach, and he's coming to Vegas, and because he rented his house there for $100,000 a year. So he'll make a $30,000 profit. He's coming here for a cheaper life.
Yeah.
I'm meeting him at 3:00 actually.
Yeah.
And he's changing his life because he says, you know what? Vegas is really convenient. I can hop on a plane anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
He's a singer and an actor, so he knows if he's got an audition, most of them are by tape now.
Yeah.
And then if he wants to get to LA, it's a 45-minute flight, go to his audition. He can, stay at a friend's if he has to or a hotel. But he's pretty much net even, like meaning zero costs by living here.
Yeah.
And he can have an easy life. And when entertainment opens back up, he could stay here and buy a house. That's what he's going to do.
That's why part of me in my mind is like, with all the things we have going on in the city and how it's expanding and becoming, in my mind, like a true city for the first time.
I use that term all the time. It's finally, when I got here, I think it was a teenager.
Yeah.
It like Vegas. If Vegas was a kid, it was probably 16 years old and just in like puberty, not sure what he wants to do with his life.
Yeah.
Now Vegas, I feel like, is a late 20s.
Oh yeah,
like person.
And everyone wants to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what's happening right now.
It's just figuring itself out.
Yeah.
And it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like coming from where we're from, where everything. If I go back to my town right now,
same.
It looks no different. Like, I know I can get a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwich at the deli on the corner, which no one knows how good that is.
Yeah. Pork roll, by the way.
Pork roll.
I'll let that slide.
Well, you're from South Jersey. That's
Central, but
that's not Jersey. Like that.
Yeah.
That is like what was I saying?
It's just nothing changes.
Nothing
it's the
changes.
same.
It's the same.
You even have the same when you're driving. It's the same pothole in the same spot you remember 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
The same restaurants or the same signs. I mean, nothing, which is kind of awesome about the East Coast too, not to beat it up too much.
It is.
It's kind of refreshing to go back and, I always miss the people, the food, the atmosphere.
Yeah, and kids ride their bikes everywhere and hang out in the front yard.
Yeah.
So that is some of the things we're lacking here.
It is.
You don't have front yards. You don't have yards that connect. And we had the woods.
Yeah.
We'd wander through the woods for hours, and if not more than a day sometimes. And my parents would wonder where we were.
Yeah.
But we don't have the lake. So there are some things. But like on the flip side, all the other great things we have. In the 10 years I've been here, it's been really exciting to watch us have sports. And like I said, so we lived on the west side ever since we got here in Summerlin, and the growth of restaurants alone is incredible.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. So let's ask you a couple personal questions.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, this is an easy one. So what are some of your favorite things to do here in Vegas? I know you mentioned you guys go up to Bryan Head.
Yeah.
Is there any other things that you guys like to do outside of work?
Red Rock Canyon. Back in the day, before I had 2 kids and a business, I used to trail run and mountain bike.
Yep.
My particular neighborhood, I'm on the west side in the mesas. We have 50 miles of mountain bike trails. That was one of the reasons why this one guy bought my listing in the neighborhood right now, is he can hop on his bike from his house, 50 miles of mountain bike trails right in the middle of the city. Yeah. So restaurants for sure. Yeah. Like we have a chef in our neighborhood who makes fresh bread from their garage. They have a full license, everything. They text the order. Yeah. You have kids riding around the neighborhood with baguettes in their basket. And then another one who's the head chef of Vetri. He's been doing at-home dinners. Okay. Where you can, we had our family for my brother-in-law's 50th birthday. Yeah. He did a full meal on the outside.
So he comes into your place, or
yeah. He
How
cooked
cool is that?
Fresh pasta, meatballs, veggies, everything.
Yeah.
All right at our house. Like, these are the interesting things about Vegas, is we're surrounded by all these people right in this big city.
And the pandemic kind of created innovation as well, right?
He was at Vetri every day. He didn't have time for this. No. And he's loving it because he gets to meet families and get to know them and everything else.
And it could lead to a full-time business that he never thought he'd be in, right? And which is kind of cool.
So Good LV, at So Good LV is actually his handle on Instagram. Okay. It's worth a look.
Checking it out.
Just for drooling alone.
Yeah. So Good LV, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Check it out. Yeah. So what are some of your personal goals? Like with your business, anything personally that you want to accomplish this year,
Yeah, for sure. You know what? One of them is we're doing right now is a little more content. Like, the thing about, like, I know a lot about the city and I love the city, and I think that shows with my team, and we want to let other people know that. So one of our goals this year is just content.
Without a doubt.
And we don't really there's no excuse at all, because it's such an easy city to do it. Yeah. Like, if I want to,
it's never ending amount of
go
things
mountain
to talk
biking,
about.
attach a camera, show the trail, throw it on the blog, and people get good information. I'm an information guy. Yeah. And I love to share it. And I think if I can get that into content, then it also helps people too, and in mass, not 5 people or 1 person.
And you brought up a great point earlier in our conversation about how people used to hide behind their business. Yeah. And now it's more about being as transparent as possible. And I think a lot of business owners make that mistake where they don't get out there and do things like this and kind of, humanize, themselves a little bit, right?
It took me a little while to accept it, because I personally I like to just do my thing and be with my family. But you know what? I realize people enjoy it. They appreciate it. Yeah. And that's what's made me okay with it. Because I don't want to, I'm not a fake person. I don't want fake content. And that's what the team, we all sat and we're like, hey, we all love this place. We know it. Yeah. Why not share it? And it's legit, true content.
And that's one of the things I was excited about for me personally with the podcast was like, I'm not the guy that, I'll write something on Instagram and delete it. I just don't feel comfortable.
I'm the same way.
Self-promoting or doing like, hey,
we're showing. Are we showing our age? I think we're showing our age.
Yeah, maybe, but maybe it's being old school. But I just it's not in me, right? But having conversations with real people and connecting,
100%,
and talking about their life is interesting. And when you talk about a piece of content, one podcast is a video, it's blogs, so
you can snippet it down 15 seconds, 30 seconds. You could pull 5 words out of this that I regret for the rest of my life if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Like the part about your wife where I don't remember you said, but
that never happened. I thought it was gone.
That's awesome. But it's interesting. And I think you're right, but content is kind of I don't want to say it's the future, but if you're not producing any type of content for your business, you're missing out for sure on an opportunity.
Yeah. And that's a goal of ours. And we have some number goals, but that stuff's boring. The for other people, like, because that's not really the end goal. But if you don't track numbers, you're not getting anywhere. Sure. So if you don't know your day-to-day numbers, and we're big on that, we have tracking software every day. Client agents know how many calls, how many people they need to connect with.
That's awesome.
But beyond that, I think really getting awareness of our city and what we know about it and what we love about it is important.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I always like to ask about, like, from your perspective, you're a young professional looking to get into real estate, right? What's some advice you'd give them, or some based on mistakes you've made, or things you've done in a positive way? Like, what would you tell someone that was just starting out? Join a team
for sure. Cause then you have somebody overseeing you. You're a part of a group. We have a Slack channel. Anybody who's in business usually knows Slack, where, well, we have a million Slack channels, but one main one where if there's questions, it goes to the whole team. So if I'm busy doing a podcast, then somebody else is on there and they help them out and say, hey, here's the contract. This is how you do it. Verify with Brendan. I'll hop on. Yeah, all good guys. Yeah. And also it's a little community for us. Like, we had fun with it. We teased one of the guys today. He said, can you fix my dialer? He put, can you fix my diaper? And I messed with him and I said, yeah, do you want a bottle too? And he's like, what? Oh my God. So I screenshot that, sent it to the team. And it's like just little things, when you're on the road and working from home and you're stressed, like we're lighthearted. We take everything seriously, of course, business wise, but we're a good group and join a team. That's all I can say, because you have that ability to then have somebody, like we were talking about before, that dangerous scenario when someone gets their license and they're testing their business on their friends and family. Not the way someone should go. But if someone's on a team, then they know that there's oversight, there's checks and balances, there's somebody who's checking every single document.
Is it more of a feeder for you? Like, do people learn and then leave? Do they stick around as part of the team? Like, what traditionally happens there? Yeah,
2 of my top performers left, but not for any other reason than they had life changes. One went to Laguna Beach because she was from an island, wanted to go back to the beach, and life changed. Another guy, he's never lived in a big city. He came to me. He's like, Brendan, I don't want to leave, but this is what I want to do. I'm like, you've never lived in a big city? Yeah, get out of here. Yeah, he moved to Chicago.
Oh, that's cool.
So everybody else that I've had, it's been the same people. So it's a good atmosphere. We have fun together, and everybody's learning, and it's fun to watch someone go from not even knowing what to say, that to being a staring at their phone and like, oh my God. And now like, hey, Brendan, so I'm like,
oh, you're gonna learn from them at some point. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome though. That's awesome here. And you also kind of, with real estate, a lot of times you're like the lone ranger, you're alone, right? Yeah. Which is hard.
It is, yeah.
And then you don't have like a traditional office environment like we have for the most part. Most agents, they go to their office and leave.
We actually do a bit because that's what I want. Like that's why I moved to the new space. I want it to be fun. We have a foosball table in the back just to, like, if someone wants to blow off some steam. Sure. And we have the Zoom bar so they can feel like they're in front of their client. We have phone booths coming.
Oh, cool.
So people can make their calls in a private area where it's quiet and it lowers the sound by 28 decibels or something like that. Yeah. Like, that's my dorky research side. But like, I want to make a good atmosphere for them that helps them succeed. We have mail stations. They can quickly create something, put it on the mail, scan it through, get it out. Like, I'm trying to supply them with everything they need so they can get it done quickly and well.
And that's a key thing with having people that work with you or for you is giving them all the tools to succeed. And it's all about the details. I've noticed, I tell our team all the time, it's like, everything from the business card you hand out to your website to your social presence to things that aren't digital, the way you greet someone, it all adds up to a full experience. And then that's how you acquire better customers and build your business, right? So as you're doing all the right things, it's pretty awesome to hear. So last question is the hot seat question. I didn't make yours isn't that hard. So you deal with the general public, right? And so I'm sure you've had some interesting stories. My wife actually is just started. She's doing what you're doing now. She is working, and then she's also doing a little bit on the side of real estate, right? And so she had a transaction where the woman was getting ready to buy the home. She had all the money. She sent her over to the mortgage broker, and the guy said she can't buy a home. She's like, why? Well, I don't think she couldn't provide W-2s, and I'm pretty sure she's a woman of the night. She had nothing but $500 transactions from Venmo on her.
Oh my God.
So that was her story. But tell me, without naming names, like what is your all-time go-to real estate story that you've ever had?
I don't think I've had an insane, like, we do 100 a year. Like, I had a situation where it wasn't a client. Okay. It was more so a scenario. So back when I first got my license, toilets were full of concrete. things were ripped out. It was the crash, and it was an odd time to get your license. So I was in a house all boarded up. It was somebody looking for a deal. Yeah. I walked into the house. I looked in, and I'm walking around. It's all dark, and all the rooms are black because the windows are boarded. Sure. So I've got my flashlight, so I turn it on my phone. They're not as good back then as they are now. Yeah. And I go, and I'm kind of looking around, and I go past, and there's like a pile of stuff in the corner, and I turn the other way. Then I turn back, and the pile of stuff is standing up. Then I turn back, and I was like, oh my God. I run away from this guy. It was a squatter. And I run the wrong, into a dead end of the house. Yeah. And then the guy just comes walking out, and literally it was like zombies of the night. Like, oh my God. And I kind of trapped myself. I got out, and but I always tell agents now, open the door, but don't step in, step to the side. Yeah, you got to be careful. You have to be careful sometimes. Sure. The girls, I always tell them, message us where you're going, what time you're getting there. If you need anything, message the whole team. Somebody can be there. Like if you feel uncomfortable, somebody felt uncomfortable with the lead recently, and I said, hey, send it to a guy. That's not something you should deal with. And I'm big on that. Like, if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. Yeah. And but no, I don't. All my buddies have some good ones. I feel like I have some fun, interesting clients. Yeah. But they're former Olympians. They're tumblers. I have one guy who's a X Games champ. It took us 1.5 years to find a house with a pool that could fit his half pipe. Oh wow! Like I have fun stories like that. Yeah. But no nightmare scenarios. No nightmare scenarios. You didn't butcher a deal ever. No, it usually comes down to the lender. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, Brendan, awesome chatting with you today, and I really appreciate you coming down. Go to VegasKingHomes.com. KingVegasHomes.com. I said it wrong. I wrote it down right. KingVegasHomes.com. Yeah. I don't know how I did that. Sorry about that. That's all right. Go to Lava Ad. We like butchering your name as many times as we can. Brandon. Tell your brokerage That's wrong. Been my whole life, though. So I'm used to it. I read it and got to reverse. But my mom's always like, why don't you correct people when they say Brandon? I'm like, I don't care. It's fine. Yeah. Well, check him out. He's awesome, man. I really appreciate your time. And it was great chatting with you, and learned a lot, too. So no, thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Tell me when I should sell my home, too. Stop renting. So. You should have waited a year. Thanks, man. All right. Thanks, Nick.